Thank you so much to Steve and Mary. Guys, welcome. And my name is Guillaume. I'm the chapter director for Cape Town, South Africa, and the regional director for Africa. We're going to be chatting to, I like this. We're going to be chatting to Perri Gorman, who's going to be chatting to Ryan Hoover. Now, Perri, she runs Unroll.me, which was acquired last year, September, and she currently is doing Archively. And Ryan Hoover, come on, guys. Product hunt. So your strategy is this: Reddit, Hacker News, and product hunt. That's how it works. Guys, can you please give a massive startup grind applause? Thank you very much to Ryan Hoover and Perri Blake. Woo!
Thanks. Yeah.
Wow, hi everyone.
This is a really cool venue. I've never been here.
It is a cool venue.
Yeah.
And, I was working on Startup Grind with Derek back in 2011, and I started the New York chapter, and this is really amazing to see what it's become in the last couple of years. And I'm really happy to have you here, because it's nice to have a guest that I actually knew before.
Yeah, we met a year ago, I think, and I was telling you about Product Hunt when it was really early on.
At the Creamery.
At the Creamery. That's where all the startup people in SF go to.
How many of you have heard of Product Hunt?
All right.
So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk a little bit about building community, about transparency in building product, and whatever else Ryan sort of throws in there.
All right.
So a lot of people think Product Hunt was kind of an overnight success, and you've been very public about sort of the process of making Product Hunt, and you wrote a blog post about it. But in that blog post, it's really obvious that you already had influencers. Like you mentioned Josh Elman from Greylock very early on in launching Product Hunt, and others. What did you do? Like, what were the things that you did way before that actually got you even to the place where you could
make it actually
happen?
A thing, maybe. So prior to Product Hunt, maybe a few years leading up to it, I had been doing a lot of blogging and writing about startups, marketing, and other things like that, and building relationships with people like Josh Elman, Heaton Shaw, Nir Eyal, who's actually doing a workshop at 12:30, which you guys should go to.
But even how did you meet these guys, right? Because we're talking to these people from like global community, and what were the things that you did that actually even created these kinds of relationships in the beginning?
Honestly, so Twitter is a big part of my life in general, but also it's a great tool to connect with so many people at scale, more so than like meetups and events like this. These are great, but Twitter and blogging and other things like that allow you to connect with so many different people and build those relationships over time. And it's not a transactional thing. I mean, Silicon Valley in many startup and culture in general is very much like a pay it forward kind of long game. And that's the way I've perceived and played my career and my personal life as well.
So if you were to give people advice, you would say like pick the longer game practices, like tweeting, blogging.
So I talk to a lot of people that are like, I want to build a startup. I really want to be an entrepreneur. And that's great. You don't necessarily need to get in a room and come up with an idea on the whiteboard and then pursue that. Think of it as, how do you invest in yourself is the way I see it. And that could be from learning, it could be from career experience, it could be from building relationships with people, it could be from going to events like this or being a chapter leader like you were in New York for Startup Grind and contributing to a community of people. And so for myself, I wrote a lot and built a lot of relationships through writing and tweeting, frankly, and other things like that allowed me to then connect with these people that I learned from and built a real relationship with.
What I noticed in researching you and kind of going back was that a lot of the pieces that have now created Product Hunt were already in place like a while back. Like you had an email list for 2 years before Product Hunt, and you were writing about product. So what was the match moment like when you came up with Product Hunt and decided like, okay, we're going to move forward with this?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't intended to be a startup. It wasn't this grandmaster plan. I did not.
It was an experiment. Yeah,
it was an experiment. The way I describe it actually is an experiment that elevated to side product that now is a company for sure. And so it started off as a simple email list, and it was really with the idea of I love products, I love sharing them, I want a way to share products with friends that I trust and respect. And because I'd spent some time building these relationships and I by no means had a big audience, but I had a big enough audience to seed it and to then tweet it out, write about it, and say, hey, I'm doing this experiment. It's called Product Hunt. Check it out. And people paid attention. And it was just enough to get started, which for communities is super important because communities require people. It requires ongoing content. And if you don't have that like wheel turning from day zero, then it's just going to die.
So let's talk about seeding it for a second, because I'm big into that too. I like the idea of seeding a community with influencers. And how did you, you were very exclusive in the beginning in terms of like who could post products and rate them and comment, et cetera. So like, how did you make those choices?
Yeah, so in the very beginning, it was just my friends. And so that's how it started, like most things. It's like, hey, friends, check this out. This is cool. I like it. Maybe you will too.
And you just happen to be friends with cool people.
And it was people that I knew products and had a reputation in the community as well. So started off with friends, and then it went to friends of friends. Once I reached my entire network and reached everyone that I knew personally, it was emailing other people in the community that used Product Hunt that liked it and said, hey, do you know of people that would be valuable to the community that would like what we're doing here? Can you please invite them or connect me over email? And so we didn't have like a formal invite system, or we had no technology. It was just me emailing people and saying, hey, do you know a couple people? Can you introduce me? From there, we've then built out an invite system so that more of the community members themselves can grow the community from within it.
So did you do anything in particular, or was it really very organic in terms of the way it just exploded? Because now it's global, right? People are having Product Hunt meetups in Amsterdam and Japan and all over the world, kind of similar to Startup Grind. And what would you say that you did to help fuel that?
I mean, there's tactical things, small things. I was talking with John backstage, and I used to email a number of people that signed up on Product Hunt, and they would sign up. I would see who it was. I would do quick research, look them up on Twitter, and then I would personally email them and say, hey, what's up? I'd add something that was personalized, something relevant to what they're working on.
Right.
And that was a delightful experience for a lot of people, and we opened up this communication channel. And that was just a good first impression that made that first experience a little bit more sticky than it otherwise would be.
So like non-scalable communication to people that can then amplify what you're doing.
Yeah. The entire time we're thinking, we need a big enough audience, we need people to stick around enough so that we can get this community going. And then once the wheels are turning, and you have enough people, like this momentum, you hit this tipping point where it's now a thing and people come to it and they share it. And so you don't need as much of that manual effort. But still, the manual personal reach out is what I still strive to do.
Right, because it gives it that feel of like what makes the community special.
Exactly, yeah.
What was speaking of tipping point, what was the moment when you felt like it popped?
There's a number of like moments, I guess. I think that the earliest one was in the beginning, and this kind of goes back to what we were saying before. We launched Product Hunt, first email list, and a friend of mine, Nathan, did this one-man hackathon and built the first version in Ruby on Rails. And it was over Thanksgiving break at his parents' house. He's like, I'll have time. I can work on this with you. And so we released that for a week. We tested it internally. We gave it to some people and said, don't share it. Please keep it quiet. And then after a week, we're like, all right, let's make this public. Let's do a launch. And so I reached out to Adam Pennenberg at Pando at the time, and I had contributed some articles to them. I built a relationship with them.
So you got that because you had done writing for them, and that was easier for you.
So he would listen to my emails, he'd pay attention, he knew who I was.
Right.
And I reached out and said, hey, we're doing this launch. We would love to get some press around it. Who can I talk to? And he's like, oh, you should talk to Carmel in SF. And so I met up with her at a bar, and she interviewed me, and that was the first article about Product Hunt. And it wasn't like we didn't immediately overnight become huge by any means, but it was just enough to hit that tipping point of this is a real thing. This isn't just a side project. It's something that they're going to pursue.
And then shortly after, you got into YC.
Yeah, that was, I'm trying to remember the time frame. That was December, actually, is when she wrote the article. For a while then, I was part-time still working on Product Hunt and at Tradecraft, and left Playhaven early January. And then deciding what to do. Do we bootstrap it? Do we, what is Product Hunt going to be?
Yeah.
And ultimately we decided and saw the opportunity that we had and joined YC, raised money, and went from there.
Let's talk a little bit about building in the public eye and the transparency. If you guys don't know this, or you can kind of check out some of Ryan's old blogging, but He's really big about putting the product while it's in development in the eye of his users and letting them give feedback before it's out. And well, can you talk a little bit about like what your philosophy has been behind that? Obviously, it's good for feedback, but you know, in terms of putting it out beforehand and getting all of that, and what that experience has been like, both good and bad, right? Because I'm sure you get a lot of stuff that you have to say no to as well.
Yeah. So it's awesome that we have a community of entrepreneurs, marketers, designers, people that love products, and so we get tons of feedback, and a lot of it really good feedback because they kind of understand products. And since day zero, we've really been being transparent in how we're building this out, and we've been sharing mock-ups of what we're working on through InVision and telling people, can you annotate ideas? And the goal of that ultimately is, one, getting feedback, but more importantly, it's to make sure the community feels involved and also has a say in what we do.
So that's sort of another piece of bolstering like the community commitment to Product Hunt, is that they feel engaged.
Exactly, and we start getting feedback with design mock-ups that we haven't yet built that change actually what we do later on. And so it's also from a development and product standpoint, it actually is a faster way for us to learn before building something that either they don't want or maybe isn't the right move for us.
Right. Yeah. What would you, how would you advise other entrepreneurs and startups? Like, what tips would you give them around that?
Around being transparent?
Yeah, about being transparent.
I mean, not every company can be as transparent as we are, and we're trying to find the right balance, because we also, frankly, I also want to surprise people. I want to, and I can talk about that too. You don't want to like reveal the kimono entirely. You want to like surprise them every now and then with a new feature or something. Yeah. But I think it's better in general for many consumer-based products and companies to be transparent and let the community, if it is a community-based product, to have a say in what you do. The biggest risk, the other side, is like you don't tell them anything, and then all of a sudden you flip the switch and you change the entire experience, or you change it, maybe better, but it's different. It's sort of like
people don't like different.
Right, if someone goes to your home and they rearrange your furniture and make it super awesome, but it's different, you're gonna still like flip a table and you're gonna be like, why did you move my furniture? So that's kind of the way we think about it. We think about how do we make sure that we bring them into the process itself and don't surprise them too much.
Let's transition and talk about offline community, because that's also been a big part of this for you, is meetups and brunches. And I think you said you saw a video of a meetup. You want to tell that story?
Yeah, that was so we started doing, well, before Product Hunt I did small meetups. I did brunches with some entrepreneurs and that kind of thing, and I just enjoy it with like 10 people. Those are my favorite type of events. And then when Product Hunt started, we decided, okay, let's do some happy hours, let's do some brunches, and we've continued doing that for the past year. And then organically, some people in the community in different regions, whether it's Amsterdam, Vancouver, Tokyo, Berlin, they started reaching out and saying, hey, we would love to do a Product Hunt meetup and meet other people in the community. And there are a number of ones that I love, but my favorite is Bram, who's been on Product Hunt for like a year, awesome guy. He organized this event with the Next Web over in Amsterdam. And they actually, the Next Web filmed this, and they created this video about 3 minutes long, filming a number of people in Amsterdam talking about products and talking about Product Hunt. And I teared up like watching this video, because it was these people talking about, well, first, these people I've never met in a country I've never been to, talking about this thing called Product Hunt. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. How are they? So anyway, it's really exciting to see that. And then also we're just encouraging people to do more community meetups. We've had 50 organized by the community last year alone.
I mean, it hit me, when because I watched the video, and it hit me when I was watching it, that you created this thing that actually gave entrepreneurs all over the world access, like, to visibility in a way that maybe they didn't have before. And did you realize that that was going to happen when you built this, or like at what point did you realize that it had that?
Yeah, I mean, again, nothing was really, in the very beginning, it was not fully planned and thought through and what it could become by any means. And then over time, it started growing more and more, and we started seeing more products across the world surfacing. Actually, if you go to maphunt.me, this guy named Isaac, who's in the community, he, at our hackathon, built this product, this hack, where he, on a maphunt.me, check it out, it's really cool. And it shows where all of the products that have been on Product Hunt, where they originated from. And so you can see, San Francisco, New York, which you'd expect a lot of products to emerge from there, but you also see things in Amsterdam, Paris, Berlin, other startup hubs. And it really emphasizes how global our reach is. only about 4% of users are in the Bay Area that visit Product Hunt, and half are outside the US.
Wow.
So it really expands across the world.
What kind of stories have you heard about how it's actually impacted like individual startups outside of the Bay Area in terms of, I mean, has it helped them get funding or more press?
Yeah, one of the earliest examples, well, there's a number of things. There's the funding, there's the feedback that they get from people in the community, there's of course the user and traction they get. One of my favorite examples is an early one with Tap Talk, which is, they were based in Amsterdam, I think at the time, and they're now in SF. Ono is just a really cool guy, the CEO of the company. They were on Product Hunt, and SV Angel saw them early on, like right when they launched. And it was before they had really much attention or a lot of connections in the Valley. And it was just that small tipping point that led SV Angel to ultimately invest in them, and some others followed on too. And so that was kind of one of the early examples of, okay, investors are using this to also find deals to invest in, which is not a use case that I anticipated in the beginning or built for by any means.
Right, and journalists too, right? Is that, that's one of your
journalists, use Product Hunt a lot.
Yeah,
for finding products to write about. And we just recently, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we released a feature specifically for journalists because we know they're using Product Hunt to find products, but their current flow is, oh, this is a cool product, how do I find the founder? Right. They hunt down LinkedIn, they go on Twitter, they try and find their email. So we added this DM feature where they can send a direct message to people on Product Hunt and just make it easier for them to give more attention for these founders and these makers.
We have a few minutes left. Let's talk about advice to people who want to put their products on Product Hunt and launch. And what is the process that you've seen that works best? Yeah.
So we are redesigning our submission flow with the goal of being more transparent, more democratic to an extent. And so that will be changing. But when it comes to, I think in general, launching products, from all the products I've seen over the past year, I think a lot of the mistakes I see is people try to get too clever or cute with their messaging, whether it's their landing page or their tagline or their copy. And I think oftentimes just plain English is the best thing. Like, people first have really short attention spans usually, so you really need to capture their attention immediately, make sure they understand what it is you're building and who it's for. And oftentimes we just see people kind of build this PR marketing kind of jargon, and oftentimes English is just the best, like plain English is the best way. Just
language. What do you think about posting yourself versus having someone post for you? I mean, because obviously, like, you posted for me, and that was awesome.
I don't think it matters so much, honestly, because if we do our jobs right, the product will speak for itself. Right. And if it's a good product that people like and they find interesting or useful in some way, it will get the most attention. So I wouldn't say you necessarily need to have like an influencer post for you by any means. And again, going back to the submission flow, we're tweaking our algorithms and other things like that to make it more scalable, and also with the goal of having the best product surface at the top.
So what's next? Like, where's the ship going?
Yeah, so we're building out the team, and we have 13 people right now, and hiring a few more early as soon as possible, honestly.
What are you looking for?
We're looking for a lead iOS engineer. So my email is ryan@producthunt.com. I didn't mean to plug this, but I am.
No, we can.
Okay.
Totally.
All right, we got 2 minutes to plug this.
We got 2 minutes to plug the iOS engineer.
That's a hard one to find, as people know. We're also looking for community leads. So this is relevant to your first part of your question.
Yeah, this is definitely relevant to people in this room, too.
Absolutely. Community is a really hard thing to hire for, especially like understanding people and knowing the right people that we want to bring in on the team that can expand and help us go to different communities, different verticals. Like I'm very interested and plugged into like this tech startup space, but longer term we do have ambitions to expand to other categories, and we need leaders in those categories to make that happen.
Well, hopefully you can leverage some of the relationships and communities that are here today.
Yeah,
150 countries.
Absolutely, I know, I can't believe how wide Startup Grind is.
It's amazing, it just blew up.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah. And you were the chapter leader in New York.
Number 3.
Number 3. Wow.
I don't even know these people anymore. It's like going back to high school and being like, who are all these people?
Yeah.
It's awesome, actually. It's really good.
It is great. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be here. I've watched the videos online, a lot of the Startup Grind videos, but never been to an event until this one, so it's an honor. I know, it's first good one.
And he won a Crunchy this week, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that was fun.
Woo!
Okay. Not me. It was...
Okay, it was
not just me. It was
not
the team.
just Ryan.
It was the team.
The team.
Yeah, yeah. But it was an honor.
All right.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
This was really good.
I think we wrap it.
All right, cool. Thanks, everyone.